One lazy afternoon at a gas station, the pump attendant is chilling with nobody around, unbeknownst to the danger lurking in the bushes. He doesn't think much of the rustling, but when it keeps getting louder, he decides to check it out, a decision he's soon going to regret. He walks towards the rustling when suddenly a ghastly beast pounces on him and attacks him viciously. The animal seems infected with something that has turned it into an aggressive zombie-like creature. Meanwhile, a young couple, Seth and Polly, drive into the forests of Oklahoma for a romantic getaway. They plan to camp for the night at a field near the experimental oil extraction site. They start setting up the tent, but they probably forgot to take lessons because they end up ripping the tent in their efforts. Left with no choice, they decide to find a motel to spend the night. Elsewhere, an escaped convict, Dennis, and his substance-addicted girlfriend, Lacey, are traveling to Mexico to start afresh. To throw the police off their tracks, Dennis hurls their belongings into the forest and pushes the truck between the trees in the middle of the forest. Polly and Seth set off to find a motel when they see a distraught-looking Lacey waving frantically at them from the side of the road. Polly stops out of concern, but just then Dennis appears with a gun. He opens the door and grabs Polly by her hair to force her out of the car. He orders Seth to get out and asks them to move to the back seat. He takes the back seat with Seth because apparently Seth doesn't know how to drive a stick shift, and lets Polly take the wheel while Lacey, who's going through withdrawal, takes the front seat as she's not in any condition to drive. Dennis takes their wallets and throws away their cell phones. As they're driving, Polly runs over something that gives them a flat tire. Polly and Dennis get out to change the tire, and Dennis hands the gun to Lacey to keep an eye on Seth. While changing the tire, Dennis gets pricked by a splinter that was stuck on it. Lacey is interested to see what they ran over. Even as the animal is flattened beyond recognition, she tells Dennis to fix it. With a gun to his head, Dennis plays along and is shocked to see the carcass moving. He brings his hand near the mass, which has many splinters on it, when it suddenly attacks, making Lacey fire at it. The incident leaves Lacey hysterical, and she runs back to the car, demanding they drive. Dennis thinks she's hallucinating and tries to calm her down. He takes the gun from her and assures her things will get better for them soon. But as luck would have it, the car's radiator blows up, forcing them all to stop at a gas station. Dennis takes Polly along to fetch the coolant and instructs Seth to fill the tank. Meanwhile, Lacey goes to relieve herself, but she's horrified to find the pump attendant's writhing body in the bathroom. A scared Lacey runs to Dennis and informs him about the man with spikes, but before she can say anything else, the zombie-like monster attacks her, eliminating her. Seth runs inside the station and Dennis follows before Polly locks the doors. Polly tries calling the police, but Dennis takes them hostage once again and destroys the phone. He also strikes Polly to make it clear that he's not playing around. Dennis is upset by Lacey's demise and starts looking around when he spots Lacey moving on the monitor. Thinking she's alive, Dennis goes out to bring her back, but Polly locks the door. This enrages Dennis, and he's about to shoot her when Lacey's corpse attacks him. Seth rushes to the door and opens it for Dennis to crawl in and shuts it before Lacey's corpse can enter. In the process, her hand gets caught in the door, is severed, and falls inside. They notice that part of the severed hand is covered in splinters and has a life of its own. This piques Seth's curiosity. He observes it and figures out that it's a kind of mold or fungus that digests blood. Suddenly, a loud thud distracts them. Dennis walks over to the door to find Lacey's body smashing its head on the glass door. Seth convinces Dennis that it's no longer Lacey and he needs to get away from the door. The three make their way to the back door, but it's locked. They unhinge the door, but to their dismay, the path is blocked by a locked iron gate. The three try to find some other way when Sheriff Frankel spots them from outside the gas station and points her gun at them after she recognizes Dennis. Seth, Polly, and Dennis plead with her to get back in her car and call for backup. But she ignores their pleas and gets attacked by what's left of Lacey's parasitic-infested remains that cuts the sheriff's body in half. Zombie Lacey doesn't stop there and fuses herself with Sheriff Frankel's upper half. Inside the station, Dennis looks at his finger that was pricked while changing the tire, and it looks infected. He shifts his concentration to devising a plan to survive and proposes to set the forest ablaze and wait for the police to arrive. Polly suggests using lighter fluid, and they start gathering the flammable liquid. They drain the liquid from the back door into the steps towards the trees. However, Seth isn't in favor of setting the fire because they're practically above a gasoline chamber, and barbecuing themselves isn't the plan. So he comes up with another plan after he hears the dispatcher responding to Sheriff Frankel's call. They tie a bunch of hangers together to grab the radio, but it falls a little short. Dennis goes to grab one more, but the splinter in his hand has started taking control and breaks his finger. However, he hides his agony and ties it with a t-shirt before returning with another hanger. Using it to extend the hook, they're able to grab the radio, but the creature suddenly attacks them and puts its hand in from the cash slot. It keeps trying to get in till the hand severs, and the creature hand makes its way towards them. To escape it, the trio hides in a walk-in freezer. Dennis's health deteriorates as his arm twists and turns on its own. Seth and Polly finally notice Dennis has been infected. In extreme agony, Dennis asks for a knife so he can cut off his arm before the infection spreads, but he passes out before he can do it, so Seth and Polly take charge and sever his arm. They give him some alcohol and painkillers to help with the pain. They soon start talking, and Dennis reveals that he was trying to steal a car from a man, but when the man refused to hand him the keys, he shot him, leaving the man paralyzed, and he died a year later. By then, his family had gone bankrupt because of the exorbitant medical bills. He had planned to help that man's family after getting settled in Mexico with Lacey, but now it's just wishful thinking. An epiphany strikes Seth, and to check his theory, the trio walks out of the freezer cautiously and review the video footage. Seth's theory turns out to be right when they see the creature attack the car and not Seth when they first encountered it, indicating the creature senses heat. Since their body temperature has gone down because they were in the freezer, they're practically invisible to the creature. They devise a plan where Seth covers his body with ice packs and waits for his body temperature to drop, and once that's achieved, he'll rush to Sheriff Frankel's car. Polly uses the fireworks at the back door to distract the creature. Just when the creature appears near the firecracker, Seth makes his way out of the gas station to the car, but it takes him forever to reach the car. They find themselves in trouble once again when the creature vanishes from the back door. As soon as Seth shuts the car door, the creature pounces on the car because Seth's temperature is rising and it can sense him. Without car keys, the car and the radio are rendered useless. So Dennis decides to distract it and walks out the front door holding a firecracker. He throws the firecracker away, thinking the creature will go after it, but the firecracker goes out, which makes the creature go after Dennis. Dennis runs inside and tries locking the door, but the creature is fast, and this time, it makes its way in. Polly, however, drags Dennis with her into the freezer before the creature can get him. The firecracker seems to be working against them, because one of the dormant ones decides to go off, sparking flammable liquid that quickly catches fire. The fire spreads in the gas station, and at the same time, Seth steps outside with a shotgun he retrieved from the car. He shoots the creature and it slows down. The creature hand also makes its appearance, and Seth's shot sends it into the fire, burning to its demise. They realize they still have a chance, and Polly and Dennis step out of the freezer as Polly aims at the creature with Dennis's gun. Dennis grabs the shotgun from Seth and tells them to leave. He fires all the shots, but the creature keeps coming. He reloads the shotgun, knowing he has only one shot left. He targets the gas pump and fires. The pump explodes, covering the creature in flames, finally stopping it for good. Dennis, however, is in bad shape and infected. Polly and Seth run up to him, and he hands them a key to his bank in Platt. He asks them to give all the money to the wife of the man he had shot. He tells them to go, and once they've left, Dennis fires the shotgun at the propane tanks. This causes a huge explosion that destroys the gas station, himself, and any remains of the parasitic creature. Meanwhile, Polly carries a wobbly-legged Seth as they navigate their way down a deserted road. Elsewhere in the woods, a chilling hint of menace lingers. The creature hides in the carcass of an animal, silently promising that this nightmare is far from over. That's a recap for the horror movie Splinter. For more scary content, subscribe to Recaps of Fear and get a free crash course on how to evade parasitic creatures. And hit the notification bell to never miss out on more amazing recaps.